They always said I'm wrong, but what they doing today? I think they want me gone, but I ain't going away. They told me I was wrong, but look at my ass today. Da 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 da.
Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Tim along with Justin for the Real Sports Talk. Tomorrow afternoon, you will see the first ever one-game wild card playoff. This is the first time that they're doing this in the MLB. The two teams that won the wild card in the National League will play at 5 o'clock, and then at 8:30, the two teams that won the wild card in the American League will play a game to decide who goes into the regular playoffs. It's a one-game deal. The first game, which we're going to preview right now, is St. Louis, the defending world champion Cardinals, and the National League first wild card winner, the Atlanta Braves, who just missed out on the playoffs last year, and we all know why. Justin, I really think that this is going to be a great game, and quite honestly, I would like to see a series of this, but the fact that you will get a one-game playoff with these two teams, it's pretty interesting, and I like the idea. I think it's going to draw great ratings for the MLB. You have Chris Medlin going for the Braves. Chris Medlin in the second half was absolutely filthy. He was coming back from Tommy John surgery, but after he came back and got back in the rotation because he started in the bullpen, he went 9-0 with an 0.97 ERA. He was absolutely filthy. We all know that in the playoffs, you win with starters, Justin.
Yeah, this is a game where, well, I'm a big fan of this one-game wild card. If you look at it, both of these teams cannot be like, okay, if this is a series, you cannot mess it up. This is the one-game series. Chris Medlin, who's going to be making his debut in the playoffs, pitching-wise, this is just a clutch game for him. He needs to come out and just pitch like he pitched in the second half of the season. Kyle Lohse, on the other hand, like me and Tim discussed earlier, is 0-3 in the playoffs. This is a very questionable call for the St. Louis Cardinals. I think you could go with guys, maybe with Adam Wainwright, someone who has more experience in the playoffs. I'm not saying that Lohse does not have any experience. He's just not good at,
he doesn't have good experience in the playoffs. Yeah, he doesn't have good experience in the playoffs. Career in his playoffs, Kyle Lohse is 0-4 with a 5.54 ERA. Last season, keep in mind, they still won the World Series. He pitched 3 games, started all 3, gave up 18 hits, 11 earned runs, 12 total runs, and he had a 7.82 ERA and was 0-2. Not very impressive, and things can turn around. I mean, Kyle Lohse has been one of those guys that one year he can completely suck, or even 2 years like 2009 and 10, and then he can come back the last 2 years. And I mean, this year he had a great season, 16-3 with a 2.86 ERA. I think it's the right start because Wainwright didn't have a great season. Chris Carpenter didn't come back till really late. So, I mean, there's not really a better candidate. It's a matter of Kyle Lohse going out there and getting the monkey off his back and pitching well in the playoffs, which is something that he has not done throughout the course of his career so far.
He needs to step it up in this game. Both teams really have got to bring it because one mistake can possibly cost you the game.
Yeah, and you talk about... People talk about in the first playoff series, the 5-game series, how if you lose game 1, you really are in a hole. In this, you lose game 1, your season's over. There isn't a game 2, 3, 4, 5. It's one and done. And the fact that Chris Medlin is on the mound for the Braves, I know he's never pitched in the playoffs, but you just get a good feeling about it. I know that they could have gone with a veteran like Tim Hudson, but sometimes you just got to go with the guy that's the hottest. And not only was he the best pitcher on this team, but in the second half he was the best pitcher in the entire MLB. I don't think anyone can really argue that after hearing the numbers. Justin, if you had to point out some keys for the Cardinals, what are you looking at?
You know what? This is going to go on with my prediction. I think I'm going with the Atlanta Braves in this one. I'm going to start off with the Braves, and I'll go right over for the Cardinals if they're going to pull off this victory and end Chipper Jones' season. Now, when you look at the Braves, they're stacked from the hitting to their bullpen. Kimbrel, Venters, O'Flaherty. I mean, just those 3 guys alone is a very scary bullpen. When you go to their hitting, you got Chipper Jones, who's having a solid season, his final season. Dan Uggla, who's a power second baseman. Freddie Freeman, he's solid. Brian McCann, a solid hitter. Then you look at your outfield, the average and solid hitters on this Atlanta Braves team. You got Martin Prado, Michael Bourne, and Jason Hayward. In this game, I predict that the Atlanta Braves will win this game 2-1 in a very clutch. I really think it's going to go down to Chipper Jones. I think this guy can get a clutch hit that will probably send either Michael Bourne or Jason Hayward, whoever will be on base, and Chipper Jones getting the winning run. But if the Cardinals are going to pull out the victory, you really got to look at the guy who supplies the most power in this lineup, and that is David Freese from last year. This guy just went off the chart last year, who won the World Series MVP. You really got to look out for this guy. This guy's a surprise in the playoffs, and plus, Kyle Loesch has really got to step it up. So
yeah, he really does. You're going with the Braves, and I agree. I'm going with the Braves 3-0 in this game. I love their starting rotation, and the thing that is so good, I love Chris Medlin starting for them. The thing that's so good is that Chris Medlin can go 6 innings of 0 runs, and if he gasses out after 6 innings and he's done, he gave you 6 solid innings, and then you have an absolutely stacked bullpen. You mentioned O'Flaherty, Venters, Kimbrel, not even close. This is the best bullpen in the MLB, so you're very comfortable with that. I think for the Braves, the X factor, not only in this game, but if they already go on, is Michael Bourne. He struggled in the second half. When he sets the table for this team, they win games, and they are among one of the best teams in baseball. I had the Braves going to the World Series at the beginning of this year. It wasn't a popular pick, but I think that right now they're in a good position if they're able to win this game. For the Cardinals, it comes down to their bullpen, because I do believe this will be a close game. You got Mojica, Salas, Rybczynski, Mitchell Boggs, Jason Mott. I mean, the bullpen has been questionable over the last few seasons, and if they're going to win this game, the bullpen needs to be pretty much perfect. That goes for both sides. I mean, Craig Kimbrel might be the best closer in the MLB right now, but one game screw-up, and that's what you're going to remember from this season. I think you get 6 or 7 innings, 6 2/3, something like that, out of Chris Medlin. You turn it over to your bullpen. You get a shutdown performance from guys like O'Flaherty, Venters, and Kimbrel, and the Braves win 3-0 on a Chipper Jones home run. It's going to be a great game, Justin. Remember the last one-game playoff was the Tigers and the the Minnesota Twins, I should say, and that game went down to the wire. And I'm not making a prediction that this will go that far down to the wire, and I'm not saying this because I want this to be a good game, but truly this is an epic one-game playoff that is going to be an extremely fun game to watch.
No doubt, man. I cannot wait to see Chipper Jones. This is a guy who this year has had probably a great season for a third baseman. Seeing Chipper leave early is going to be heartbreaking for the Braves and for the Braves fans. I hope these Atlanta Braves get far into the playoffs and most probably even the World Series, man. It's just seeing Chipper leave on a losing edge, it's just going to suck.
Yeah, I mean, I've been an NL East fan my whole life, and I lived in Atlanta when Chipper Jones was really like a rookie, like young, when he was coming up with Andrew Jones and that whole crew in the 90s with Smoltz and Glavine and Maddox. And I've pretty much watched Chipper Jones' entire career, even though I live in Pennsylvania and I'm a Phillies fan. But he's a great player, and to see him go out in that style, as much as I'm not a Braves fan, it wouldn't feel right. I feel like this is a year where Chipper Jones and this team are destined to go farther. It's a year where a lot of people counted them out after a collapse last year. And the other team that collapsed, the Red Sox, went down. I think the Braves head up and they make a deep run in these playoffs, starting with a 3-0 win tomorrow in the first MLB Wild Card playoff game.
Just a little ways around the corner from fear. Be there.